You know anything about this?
Who are the punks?
Doctors, those that'll tell don't know. And those that know won't tell.
Peace, family. Those that don't know will tell. Will tell you what? Not to get in debt. See, that's the perception. When the reality is there's a such thing as good debt or to get a will. That's the perception. When in reality, a will is a bill. Just like in show business, they will give you the perception that they're balling out of control when in reality they're looking for their next deal. Well, in the business world, they give you the perception too. They give you the perception like my man Roy Seabag. The perception that Roy gives the public is that he only earns $1 a year. That's the perception. But in reality, Roy Seabag is the founder of the world's largest precious metal savings. You know, like gold, silver, platinum, and he's making over $2 billion. Another perception. Meghan Markle married into a family worth 70 to 90 billion dollars with no prenup. And look at Prince Harry. He's smiling. Why? Because Prince Harry knows what 99% don't know. He's the 1%. Meghan Markle, she makes a nice salary, $450,000. But most would think that that's nothing compared to Prince Harry. But Prince Harry only makes 10% what she makes. He makes $45,000. Meghan Markle, she married a man with a salary comparable to a sanitation worker. That's right. In the public, Prince Harry only makes $45,000, comparable to a sanitation worker. But in the private, he structured everything to where he owns nothing and he controls everything. So what can she take from him? When his net worth really is 40 million or more. He knew what Mary didn't know. See, Mary didn't have the proper structure, or she wouldn't have been in the situation she was in. Or what Michael didn't know when he got divorced. He lost half his wealth because he thought a prenup couldn't be argued in court. Donald Trump never had a prenup because he's part of the 1% in the know. When he divorced Ivana Trump, he gave her $14 million in cash, and then he paid her out some alimony and child support that totaled to $25 million. Now, most would think that's a lot of money, but not to Donald Trump. That was just hush money. When you're worth $3.1 billion, see, Donald has trust, and he knows the publication 15B. He understands the tax code of French benefits. And see, with the trust, it's private. You can structure it in many ways. There's over 80 different trusts. What is a trust? It's a fiduciary arrangement that allows a third party or a trustee to hold your assets on the behalf of a beneficiary or your beneficiaries. And what is a trust good for? Well, it's good for, like I said, asset protection. See, it's good for tax breaks or no tax at all. And it's also good to save on family disagreements and squabbling over the assets that's left. Because see, Article 1, Section 10 says of the Constitution that no law shall supersede contracts. And that's what a trust is. Like I said, a trust will help you avoid probate. A will won't do that. You know, a trust will help you, it helps it protect the inheritance that you leave behind. No inheritance tax with a trust because things are just transferred over. And if you have a loved one with disabilities and they need personal care, they can get on Medicaid. I mean, you could get on Medicaid with the proper trust while you're still living, and they couldn't even touch your money because the key is to own nothing and control everything. If you leave, God forbid, and you leave minors behind, you set up a trust fund where the money can't be touched till they get to be a certain age. It's all about how you structure it. Now let's take a look at wills. James Brown had a will, and his family is still fighting over his money 12 years later. Why? Because wills can be challenged in court just like prenups. And you got people popping out of the woodwork saying, I deserve some of that money. So you get lawsuit after lawsuit. Aretha Franklin had a will. And from what I've read, each one of her children, They all have their own separate lawyers. Prince didn't have a will, so they said. But what if he had a private foundation or a private entity and he left the money to beneficiaries? Would you want someone to know that you inherited Prince's money? Michael Jackson left over $500 million, and no one is fighting over his money. Because you see, Michael Jackson was rubbing elbows with the wealthy, and they taught him the secrets of the 1%. Privacy. Structure your life in private. And this was what we must learn to do. We must learn contract law, legalese. You see, most of the rich, they have charities or foundations. Prince Harry, Michael Jordan. Why? Because they're tax exempt. And the fastest way to wealth is through tax avoidance, not tax evasion. Now, most of you watching this video saying, okay, I know the secret now. I can go get me a foundation. But we have to understand that when you go out in the public and look and try to find you a foundation, you're going to get a public or a common private foundation, which is what? Public. And the wealthy don't deal in the public with their organizations. See, they structure them properly in the private, so no one can take anything from them because they have the secret and they have the knowledge of owning nothing and controlling everything. And this is what we're trying to teach you to do so you can get to the business banking of the private world. Peace and blessings, family, when we learn to do the will of the Creator.